Hey everybody, Chuck here from your local Starbucks here, hanging out today in the warmer weather here. In today's session, um, in don't want to wait 48 years to learn what you learned, Chuck. I'm going to talk about, I guess, what I call natural laws of supply chain. Certainly, many of them we can think of, but the ones that I run into the most reminds me very much of if you've ever read Seven Habits of Highly Successful People from Stephen Covey. He talked about natural laws as laws you can't avoid, you can't bury your head in the sand on, you have to deal with them. And he uses the example of like agriculture or planting a garden. If you want to have a crop or flowers, in the fall, then what you and I need to do is make sure we're doing the watering, the weeding, fertilizing, things like that. There's no way around it to get to the end result. And we've got the same thing in supply chain. So I want to share those with you because what I've seen over time is they help you and I really kind of cut to the chase on conversations here. So I've got a new stylus I'm working with. It's going to be my fingers here as I write on the screen. And one of the first natural laws is supply versus demand. Okay. And the part you can't avoid it is something like this. I've got 15, customer needs five. That's typically no problem for you and I. I've got 15, customer wants 15. Kind of okay there. But the one we're really referring to is I've got 15, customer needs 25. And we can argue all we want and moan and groan about it, but the bottom line is I got 15, customer needs 25. I got to find 10 more. So either I make those or I start stocking more, or the customer is going to have to wait and only get a partial. I can't avoid the conversation. And so that in itself helps us clarify what we got to do next. And if the situation is mostly the bottom one, then we've got to start looking at what our lead time is compared to the customer lead time as the next step in the conversation. And to me, that's natural law too. Our lead time might be 10 days to make the other 10 pieces, and the customer says, no problem, I'll wait 20. Doesn't happen that way hardly at all. Okay. That the customer is willing to wait all the time. Second possibility, it takes us 10 days. Customer says, fine, I'll wait 10. Again, doesn't happen too often. More often than not, our lead time's 10 and the customer wants it in 3. So we've got to figure out a way to get 10 days down to 3 days, or going back to supply versus demand, I got to carry more inventory. The third part of that conversation then becomes capacity versus workload. So for space purposes, let me jump to another page here. Capacity versus load. I'll do it graphically. The situations are, here's my capacity and here's my workload. Usually not the case. We're all kind of buried. Sometimes it's like this for workload, but more often than not, I have more work on my shoulders than I have capacity. The natural laws for conversation at this point become, okay, I have to resolve this. So either capacity goes up, or load moves in, or load moves out, or the load's got to go down. I can't bury my head in the sand on that excess workload because it will balance itself out. And if I don't deal with that, the customer is going to walk away from us and it'll balance itself out much to our detriment. So supply versus demand, our lead time versus customer lead time, capacity versus load are the three things that we want to give thought to help us understand and shape our conversations. Okay.